go, and her name is Minerva. She's the flower of the flower coach.
Hey, it's me, it's Aaron Live, and here we go again. March 23rd, 2025. I am longing for the day, which hopefully won't be too far in the future, where I can trade the beanie in for the baseball cap. I always have to wear something on my head, despite what time of year it is, because of the horrible reflection coming off the dome into the camera. But when it warms up a little bit, then we switch from the stocking cap to the baseball cap. And of course, the stocking cap is available on my website for order in case you're just dying to get one of these. And I've also got baseball caps, although I don't think they're listed on the website right now. But I'll have to, once I start wearing those again, I will have to get it listed. My wife said, I'll give you a quick preview. So I was walking around like this. See, look at that glare. I was walking around like this. I just shaved the old head. And my wife goes this morning, "You look like Sean Connery." Yeah, I really don't. But it was nice of her to say that. I don't know. Maybe did she mean like dead Sean Connery, or like, when Sean Connery was still with us? But anyway, so that's me, Sean Connery Lopresti. Why isn't this showing anything here down at the bottom? It's interesting. Usually, like, there's like, my title is down across the bottom and it's showing in my preview, but it's not showing on here. StreamYard keeps screwing stuff up. Why can't you just leave stuff alone? If something works, do we really need to like change it just to change it? Let me go into settings here and see what, at least I touch up my appearances on, which that's incredibly important. This is an example of a banner. Click on a banner to show it on screen. Use banners to summarize your talking points and display calls to action. Look at that. I'll just let a little scroll there. It's like, you almost feel like there should be like breaking news going across there, except I don't have any breaking news. How about this? Subscribe and like because it's free. I like that. Let's go with that one for the time being. I have got a full show, as I always try to, because I know you guys are paying. Well, you're not paying anything for this. This is absolutely free, so that the pressure is kind of light. I don't have I feel a great deal of pressure to perform, but I do have a loaded show. I got a list right over here, so I don't forget anything, because it seems like I always forget something. But hopefully not today. Lots of good stuff to look at. Most of it is artwork. We do have some new cryptid videos, some really strange and unique efforts, shall we say, in the realm of Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, which is very strange for me because we've already debunked the Loch Ness Monster on this show. So the Loch Ness Monster doesn't even count anymore as an actual cryptid, but I had to show this video anyway. So we'll take a look at that later in the show. Let's see. Was there anything else that I wanted to get to off the top? I don't think so. But then again, I don't remember because I don't prepare. I just come on. There's no monologue written. I just go. Stream of conscious, man. Okay. So anyway, let's see who's here. Creative Faye is here. Sounds like another great lineup. She's always got bringing that positive energy, and I appreciate it. She's also first one in the door, which you get Creative Faye. You get nothing for that, but my thanks and appreciation for being here. Stealth X5 is going, I don't know what that means, but he's obviously thinking about something. Sequential Artist is joining us as Conan waits for his sandwich. Repairman Jack, ahoy. I'm not number one in the chat, but I'm the number one fan of Aaron. Woohoo. Let's effing go, he says. Thank you very much, Repairman Jack. And then he says, how about those Cornhuskers wrestling team? They're really getting good. They finished second in the nation this year, so that was good for them. Nobody can beat Penn State, though. No one can beat Billy Tucci's Penn State Nittany Lions, unfortunately. But, hey, second in the nation, you can't really complain too much about that. Now, there's Mr. Chemo. Mr. Chemo is joining us. When was the last time Mr. Chemo was in the chat? I don't remember seeing Mr. Chemo for quite some time. So glad to have you back. Pastmaster Dan is here. Robert the Bruce. He says, Big John and BWS. Is it my birthday? Hey, if you like art, this is a good show. This is the show you should be watching every week. But this particular show this week, because we're now into the silver age of comic book artist covers that we'll be covering. And that's where we get some really good stuff. Of course, the 70s has great stuff. The 80s has great stuff. We'll probably even go into the 90s eventually. So Pantheon's here. He says, well, he was here. He says, hey, Aaron, I'll have to catch the show on repeat, but I will definitely be like Cheers. Like Cheers, the television show, or is he just saying like Cheers to you? I don't know. But Pantheon will be joining us at some point, but it may be in reruns. What was the great line in The Running Man with Schwarzenegger? He says to Richard Dawson, I'll be back. And Richard Dawson goes, only in reruns. That was a pretty good line. Okay, Randy Howell, all the way from Canada, is here. Pity Ma is joining us. Pity Ma says, I love everything Conan, especially the sketch I have from Aaron. Well, the funny thing is, I shouldn't spoiler, but I think I have a couple Conan covers by Buscema, but when we did Buscema the Illustrator, we covered a ton of Conan stuff in that episode. So I don't want to be too repetitive. So we're looking at his best covers. Most of them are superhero stuff, but there is a little bit of Conan in there. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. Oh, you Washington people, I did reach out to the SummerCon. I haven't heard back yet, so we'll see if they want me or not to show up this year. And of course, as soon as I know, I'll let you know. Michelle Bowers is here. Michelle just bought something off my website, some books and such. Oh, yeah, I did post that I only had 2 hardcovers, assigned and numbered hardcovers left of Kit Carter, which is true, and they're both gone now. What I do have still, though, however, I haven't put it up on the website yet, but I will shortly. I do have the print overage of hardcovers. I think I have 33 hardcovers, but they will not be signed or numbered. They will not be part of the 750 limited edition signed and numbered. But they are, they always overprint a little bit. And so you've got extras in case books gets damaged and things like that. So I've got 33 of those sitting around. So I will be selling those at a cheaper price on the website, but they will not be signed, nor will they be numbered. But if you want to have a hardcover, you'll still have a chance to get one. It just won't be part of the signed and numbered limited edition run. Okay. Fox Mulder is here. Hey, Fox, thanks for joining us. There's Marcus Killigroup, purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge. Andy Dalf's here. Dalliff, excuse me. Let's see. George Bonney, 90, is joining us. Best Age Comics. Hail Aaron, on time. Am I late? Am I late that much that you would be mocking me for being on time? I don't know, actually, if that's probably true, but I cannonballed you anyway. Let's see. Ronan. Sean Connery from SNL Celebrity Jeopardy. Those are pretty good shows. I watch those on YouTube quite often because they crack me up, especially when, what's his face does Burt Reynolds. Cracks me up. Geek Hero Bubba. He says, John Buscema was the artist in my favorite comic of all time, Fantasy 4 112, which was it's one of my favorites too, because it was the first comic I ever owned as a child. On vacation, I've told the story a million times, but what the heck, let's do it again. I was on vacation. I was 7 years old. And back in those days, we drove everywhere for vacation. And so we stopped at a store someplace and they had comic books in there, but they didn't have comic books on a spinner rack. They had like those big wooden magazine stands, displays. And the comics were all tucked in there. So I had them all like spread out. And I was like looking. And so I picked the Hulk 112 or the Fantasy 4 112 because that Hulk versus Thing with that great black cover. And I didn't know who any of the characters were, but I thought, oh, that looks cool. And then I picked Amazing Adventures number 8, which had a Neil Adams Black Bolt versus Thor cover. And I had no idea who those characters were, although I've always kind of liked Thor. I don't know why. But the Neil Adams drawing probably really attracted my attention. And plus they were fighting. It looked really dynamic. Those are the two I got. The very first two I owned. Not that I didn't buy them myself. That's a different thing. The first comic I bought, on my own, but these were, the first ones I actually had. And so Fantasy 4 112 has a soft spot in my heart. I didn't finish reading this, sorry. Battle of the Behemoths, one of the last Fantasy 4 comics written by Stan Lee. Most iconic fight between the Thing and the Hulk. It was a battle royale. And I thought the Thing died at the end of that issue. And it was till years later I found out that he didn't die because I never got the next issue, so I didn't know. Alex Sarabia. Alex Sarabia. Hey, Aaron, I'm a big Garbage Man and Sludge fan. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate that very much. Balton's Assagean says, Aaron, have you seen the new Porky and Daffy movie? I saw it yesterday. It was a lot of fun. I've seen the trailer for it. I forgot all about it. Thank you for reminding me. I have to go see that. Because I did see the trailer and I thought, Porky Daffy movie. I may have to go see that by myself, but I will go. Porky and Daffy movie. Wrote it down as not to forget. Thank you very much for reminding me of that. Hi, Aaron. You look very pink. It's better than looking like ghostly pale, says Creative Faith. It's because I have a Nebraska neon light right there. I turn on and it's red and it casts a nice warming glow on me. Makes me feel alive and not like, The Walking Dead. Okay. Oh, Katie Did's here. Katie Did. Howdy, Katie. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. We always like to have Katie in the chat. She's here to cause trouble. So you just got to know that going in and everything will be fine. Geek Hero Bubba is joining us. Jerry Rasco joining us. Heat Miser. Tim F. Kevin Tomset from across the pond. How about that? We haven't seen Kevin in a while. At least I haven't. Or maybe I just haven't been looking. I-974 joining us. Thank you for that. Sequential Treasures. Big John and Bigfoot on the same show. I'm sensing a theme here, says James. Not a conscious one, but maybe. What do we got? Sean Allen, Mighty Joe. Is Shanth launching today? One thing you guys should know about me is I have no freaking idea what's going on at any level except what I might be doing on that particular day. So, because I do not go into the chat rooms very often. I'm not saying there's any reason why I should or shouldn't. I'm just saying I don't. If you want, who's the most clueless person in the Comicsgate universe? You look at him right here. Let's see. Henry Jeremick's joining us. Derail Gaming. Let's see. There's Shanth right there. I'm sorry. I always call him Shanth and it's Shanth. It's very Thurston Howell III. Shanth Amjeti. About to launch. Just wanted you to know I'm just wanted you to know I live on the same street as Charles Dana Gibson's house. How about that? Well, I'll tell you what. as soon as we're done here, you should go over and visit Shant while he's launching, but not during my show, but afterwards, and then back his crazy project. There you go, Shant. There's your little. That's kind of a piss poor promotion, but it was free. So anyway, I do what I can. Gen X Catholic is here. Yeah, he is. Gen X Catholic says, just got here. Anyone bring up the Titan Conan comics? Della Torre is channeling Buscema. Della Torre is an interesting dude because I replaced him on Ms. Marvel, and his stuff didn't look anything like it does now. He's doing this incredible John Buscema riff. And I'm usually not a big fan of people that are that ape other artists like that. But I mean, it's the coolest looking Conan book since Buscema was on it. So, I mean, I'm not gonna disparage the guy for he's got it going on, man. His stuff looks great. They got Michael. Is it Michael or Michael? The new Porky and Daffy movie was surprisingly incredible for a modern Warner Brothers movie. That's, I liked the trailer. It intrigued me. So I'm going to go see it. I forgot all about that. I'm so glad you guys are reminding me. Alexander Urquhart Jensen. John is launching Shant in a few minutes. Well, there go my numbers. But you know what? That's okay. If I had known, if I had paid attention, if I knew these things, I would be, I wouldn't be streaming right now against him. But what are you going to do? That's why we have reruns, I guess. Katie's saying, how am I trouble? I'm cooking dinner while listening, silly. See, that, pardon the metaphor or the pun, but you're stirring the pot right now. You know what I'm saying? So Green Laser's here. Simpson Slippers. Aaron Slow Presti. I was early. Why would you say Aaron Slow Presti? Creative Faces. Aaron likes to play Sergeant Schultz. I see nothing. I know nothing. Yeah, that's actually true. Stifling Vaughn saying your chat font is wacky. I changed it. I changed it up, man, to look a little bit more artistic. Stealth X5 for two big ones says hello Stealth. Thank you so much. Dennis Rodriguez says Della Torre's covers are pretty good. A shame he only did issues of 16. Yeah, guys aren't as prolific as I am, and that's kind of the problem. I was supposed to work for Titan, and they never followed through. I filled in everything. I filled out the paperwork. I did everything. They came to me. I didn't go to them. They came to me and said, hey, do you want to work on some Conan stuff? I said, absolutely. Filled out all the stuff. Never heard from them again. I don't know. David Pentecost. I haven't seen David in a while. Finally able to catch Aaron live. Can't wait to see Wraith of God 3. Well, thank you. It's going to be good. I mean, it is good. I'm really pleased with it. I'm not done with it yet, obviously, but I am. I've read the script. Spoiler. Henry Jeremick, you could easily pick 10 Conan covers of John Buscema. I like a lot of his Submariner. So do I. I love his Submariners cover. Yeah, I mean, he's listing all the great. That's the thing. It's like I could have picked 50 covers easily, but I didn't. I have like 12 or 13. So, yes, of course I watched Hogan's Heroes. I know who Sergeant Schultz is. I see nothing. Stibbling Vaughn says that my name looks cool with this font. Don't change it. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it for a while. This is going to be my look. Lordo Flex says Della Torre is going to be focusing on covers and savage sword stories. He's never really liked conventional timelines. No. Okay. Well, let's, you guys are going to have to, I didn't bring a snack today, so we're going to skip that portion of the show, but, I do have today's Frazetta image. And the thing is, I'm starting to think I showed this before. You'll have to tell me afterwards if I did, but, let's take a look at our Frazetta image of the day and see what happens. Okay. So I know that we did like the black and white interiors to these Doubleday books, but I don't remember if we did the covers or not. But anyway, so I don't think we did. So we're going to do all of his John Carter covers now in a row because it's easier for me to keep track of what we've done and what we haven't done if I group them like that, which I didn't do at the beginning when I started doing Frazetta of the Day. I was all over the place, so there could be some repetitiveness. But hey, if I can't remember, you probably don't either, right? So yeah, so that was a wraparound cover for the Doubleday book series. They were hardcovers, and they usually had 2 books in each collection. Let me try that again. They collected 2 books in each publication. So that one was Thuvia and Chessmen of Mars. I think A Princess of Mars is just in 1 volume. But anyway, so the Doubleday had these hardcovers with these Frazetta illustrations on the inside and then painted covers on the outside. And these all came out in like 1972. And the surprising thing about them is you'd think they'd be like super collectible, but they're not. They're actually very affordable. You can find them on eBay and for pretty decent prices. And of course, I have all of them. A couple of them are kind of like the cover wear on them is pretty bad. And it's like, I should get cleaner ones so I can see those Frazetta images. Although I've got those Frazetta images, I've got like, what I say, 38, I think one time, 38, 37 Frazetta books. So actually every one of those covers is reproduced more than once in some of these books. So I probably don't need to get better copies of the actual books themselves, but they're out there in case you're interested. Jen Catholic, look at this. He goes, watching Lopez Buscema topic with Arnold's Conan on the tube. This is what is best in life. Guys, the guy, he's like, his head is exploding with Conan at the moment. Let's see here. Oh, so there's our little Frazetta of the day. And it was kind of nice. I was able to find the rough finished and then, of course, the published version. So a lot of times we don't get to see that, but that's kind of cool, the progression there. But now, before we go any farther, I have to stop for a commercial announcement. Of course, I am the sponsor of my own show. So let's take a quick look at something I like to call Wraith of God 3, Fear Hollow. This is the 3rd installment of the series of graphic novels featuring the Wraith of God and his sidekick, or partner, I guess I should say, not a sidekick, but his partner, Esther. The Wraith of God is a superhero type monster hunter of the Old West, kind of like a Batman of the Old West. He has a traveling bat cave he takes with him. It's a wagon with all of his science stuff, and he's a master of illusion and disguise, and they hunt monsters together in the Old West. He believes he's on a mission from God. The question is he really, or is he just crazy? So, we do kind of a monster of the month, if you will, every time a new graphic novel, they fight a different menace, but it's the relationship between Esther and the Wraith that continues to grow along with this. It gives us that little soap opera stuff that we all know and love in comics. So this time they're up against the Headless Horseman. And this is a trauma that the Wraith faced as a child when he actually encountered the Headless Horseman. And now he's going back to that village or that town from his childhood to see if the dead has stayed buried. And as you can guess, probably not. So a lot of good stuff, a little backstory, a little bit more of his origin in this. And so this is a good one. You don't want to miss this one. You have 4 cover options. This one right here, which is cover A, the main cover, if you will. Nice little gnarly pumpkin head down there. This is the EC variant. If you're a fan of the 1950s EC comics, this might be the one for you. If you're a fan of 1972 Marvel box covers, this might be the one for you. And if you're a fan of just great art, Chris Stevens has provided this painted cover for us. If it were me, I'd get all 4 covers. But hey, that's me, Mr. Vegas. I'm a bit of a gambler. Here's a little bit of the interior art, the first couple pages here. We have this town that looks very much like Sleepy Hollow. And but there's a witch. I'm not going to say she's not old, but she's hanging in there, probably in her late 30s at this point. And we got another menace that shows up, another villain, the kind of the Doctor Doom of the series, if you will, showing up here. And we're getting a little bit of information about him on every book, a little bit more on this one, but he still hasn't been fully revealed. That'll be for a later date. And then we got there's a nice little Wraith splash page there. So it's good, clean Western monster fun. It's a little violent. There is some bloodletting, I will say that, but nothing worse than PG-13 at its worst. So this right here was a stretch goal to hit 100 grand, which we're not there yet, but if we do get there, David Williams will be supplying the art on a origin story of one of my Loprestiverse characters, Impyrus. And of course, he ties into Eon Chance, who we've met before in Blood Hunters. That was a Wraith 2, a couple of the backup stories he appeared in. We've hit a couple of the stretch goals so far. Once we get to 80, and we're knocking on the door of that right now, that'll unlock another trading card. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes. I love trading card sets. I remember them from the 90s. I worked on a lot of them, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I had my own trading card set for Empire Comics, my own Loprestiverse universe of characters? Wouldn't that be fun? So that's what I'm kind of doing. And they're all coming to you free of charge as stretch goals. You can also get some add-ons with this campaign. That's a Wraith of God Nouveau right there. That's a really nice 11 by 17 print you can add on, limited to 500 copies, signed and numbered. Wraith of God Roughs. This is 48 pages of page layouts to the graphic novel. So if you want to look behind the scenes and see how something evolves, in my mind at least, from the basic layout stage to what the finished product may look like, this is your book. These come signed and numbered and printed to order. So if you're looking for one of these after the campaign's over, you probably won't be able to get one. So you want to get it with the campaign. Shot glasses, we have a series of 6. This is the 4th. The Nightclub, of course, is featured on this shot club, the Nightclub logo. And if you want to know who the Nightclub is, you can check out the Garbage Man trade paperback. You can check out Wraith of God #1. Or you can check out Wraith of God Blood Hunters, which is Wraith of God #2, and there's a backup story featuring the Nightclub. So there's there's a lot of material out there already featuring the Nightclub if you're kind of curious as to who those characters are. We have 3 clay poker chips, a set of 3 commemorative chips with the Wraith, Esther, and the Dale Keown's werewolf. And you can order that as an add-on as well. If you have not read Wraith of God 1 or Wraith of God 2, they're available on the campaign right now. You can put them in with your order. And if you don't want to wait, if you're like, Aaron, I'm not waiting that long, I want to read them now, you can order them off my website. Now, and also let me point out one other thing here. There is some original art. Almost said Lord Impyrus. Lord Menace from the Kit Carter Planet Doom graphic novel. This was the original art for the trading card that was out in that set. That was my last campaign. That original art, I believe, is still available, as well as Mr. Midnight original art from the trading card that was in the last set from Kit Carter, the trading cards that were part of stretch goals on the Kit Carter Planet Doom. This is the original art to that, and he is the leader of the Nightclub. And you may notice that he kind of is similar looking to the Wraith in some ways. Is there a connection there? Oh, yeah, there's a connection, but it just has not been revealed yet. So anyway, that's some of the original art I still have left, I think, on this campaign. Plus all this other good stuff. So if you guys have not backed, please consider doing so. Follow the link in the description of this video. It'll take you right to that campaign, and you can check that stuff out. Now, I want to show you my website really quickly while we're doing this, because I keep adding stuff to it. So it's just aaronlopresti.com. And I've got this kind of cool website, right? So you can email me right there at the bottom. Portfolio, if you just want to look at my work, like my comic art, comic covers I've done, illustrations I've done. There's portfolios for all that stuff, paintings, things like that. If you want to know what Empire Comics is, you can click on this. It'll take you right there. But let's take a look at the store. Let's say I want to shop right now. So if you go to the store up here, the store tab right here, you have all products, prints, books, and merchandise. Merchandise is shot glasses, hats, t-shirts, things like that. The books, these are all the books I have for sale. Someone pointed out to me that it was showing that Wraith of God #1, the second printing, which is this one right here, was sold out. That was incorrect. I fixed that, and so the black and white variant here plus the color cover is still, both are still available. So I apologize to people that maybe wanted the color version and ended up getting the black and white. But I will say this, if you got the black and white cover, the interiors are color. But if you got the black and white cover, there's only a few hundred of those. So, I mean, it's a pretty rare book. So that's probably a better investment to have anyway. You can get Blood Hunters. All covers are still available. This is Wraith of God 2. This is like a wraparound cover. Do I even, there it is. So this is a wraparound cover, award-winning wraparound cover, I guess I should say. And this just sold out. As you can see, it says sold out there. But I'm going to list the hardcovers I have, the extra hardcovers I have. They'll probably be $45, so $20 cheaper because they're not signed or numbered. But if you have to have a hardcover, you'll still be able to get one. Garbage Man trade paperback right there. This is Blood Hunters. This is Wraith of God 2. That says 1 up there, but it actually says 2 on the comic. And so it's the same book as this, just a different cover. Power Cubed, I still have some of those. Kit Carter Planet Doom soft covers, I still have those. Still have a few of the Wraith of God Blood Hunters Bisley cover. And then these Tales of Suspense cover. Of course, I have a sketchbook Safe in the Trash, the Kit Carter sketchbook. I still have a few ash cans left over, the Kit Carter Planet Doom ash cans. And I have a couple of these price guides if you just kind of want to, check out my covers that I've done for the Overstreet price guide. We've also got prints. I'll just zip through these real quick, but these are all come signed and numbered print. Well, some of them are signed and numbered, some are just signed, but they're all at least signed. Different prints I have. We still have the Kit Carter movie poster, Planet Doom movie poster available. And of course, Rosie the Riveteer, which is probably my all-time favorite print. But anyway, and the other thing I want to show you guys real quickly is I have art for sale. And these are all different sketches that I've done on like Graybeards or other shows or just for the fun of it. They're available for sale on the website. And so that's under the Art for Sale tab. There's also some pages. We have some Kit Carter pages. I'll be putting more up. There's a couple of Swamp Thing pages left. Some Justice League pages. And I keep expanding this as well. And then we've got some, some color work. So lots of good fun stuff there. If you guys have not been checking out my website, please do so. You'll find a link in the description of this video. Take you right there where you can order everything you've missed or anything you want or whatever. Skull Eater says, bring back Nightclub. Oh boy. Lopez, who designed your Wraith logo? I did, which means I'm either going to get insulted or patted on the back. I don't know which. I had some people actually insult my logo saying it was too simplistic. And I was like, that's exactly what I was going for. I wanted a very Marvel's 70 kind of logo, something that read really clearly. And I know that's not necessarily the coolest thing in the world, but my experience from a marketing standpoint, clarity and as long as it's not horrible and it's not a bad logo, it's just a very simple, straightforward logo, and that's exactly what I wanted because I think it's easier to identify. And so there you go. Insult me if you will. Lobo Vicious says, normally I'd look for a cannonball, but good job. Oh, well, thank you. Well, I'll also say I designed the Kit Carter logo, but I didn't execute it. I actually hired a professional designer to do the lettering and everything for it. This, I actually did the lettering myself. But I actually hired someone I told them what I wanted and then they did it for me. So sometimes I do my own logos, sometimes I don't. I did the nightclub logo. I think I did the Garbage Man logo. But if it's something that doesn't have like, sort of effects lettering and it needs to be polished and smoother, then I'll hire somebody that can actually use programs that are very confusing to me. So, sequential choice. I'll put as a what the page. Yeah. If you want to watch art set, that's the what to do. I should get some sludge pages up there and some mystic pages. I am. It's just everything is, as I was telling Shelly, it's like as soon as you focus on one thing, everything else gets pushed to the side, right? And my focus needs to be finishing the book, right? But then it's like, well, if I scan and put pages up, how many hours is that going to take out of the day that I could be drawing? So it's trying to juggle all this stuff and kind of figure out where I want to, put my time, how much time per day or how that schedule is going to work. I'm actually quite happy with myself that I've got as much stuff up on my website as I have. So there you go. But there'll be more art coming up. Always more art because I got tons of it. So anyway, there we go. I'm looking at my list. Let's do this. Let's go with who's this guy? Let's do that. Did you guys ever see these like little, look, that's how small they are, little tiny Snapple tea things. It's just enough caffeine to keep you going and just enough sugar not to kill you. Raspberry used to be my favorite, but I kind of got hooked on this tea thing for some reason, or the peach thing for some reason. I like peach pie. I don't get peach pie nearly enough. Peach pie is good. I like berry and cherry mostly. And of course, everybody loves apple, right? You can't go, well, a good apple pie. There is bad apple pie, but just if you want to go off the, I'll go off the off ramp a little bit. Peach pie. I kind of like peach pie. Is that a Southern thing? Like Georgia peach pie? I don't know. All right. Enough. We'll see now. Green Lady's saying peach cobbler. Well, I'll eat peach cobbler all day long, but peach pie though too is, well, sure. But then right. But the Wraith doesn't exactly have like a Superman emblem on his chest, Danky. So, I'm kind of limited in what I can do there. I don't really have any sort of traditional superheroes in that sense in my lineup. I'm trying to think if I do or not. I do have superheroes, but other than Old Glory, which is kind of like a patriotic Captain America type thing, he has a logo, but most of them, I could do WOG or something, but with the little flame on here, it works fine. Works fine. It's fine. Oh, people have been asking me about t-shirts. I keep forgetting to bring that up. So I am going to re-release on the campaign page, going to re-release the Dale Keown werewolf shirt, which has been very popular, especially if you're a metalhead. And we're going to take the Bisley cover image and turn that into a t-shirt image as well for the Wraith of God. So those will be the two options. And hopefully I'll do this week. I'll get those off to my t-shirt designer guy to put those together. We'll get something figured out, and then I'll have it up on the website shortly after that. And then I will send out an update notifying everybody that the shirts are now available. So there you go. There's that. Aaron, do you have anything with Wonder Woman versus Conan, like a trade paperback you would like to get rid of? That's an excellent question, Pity Ma. I don't know. I'd have to check my I've only got, I don't think they did a soft cover. I think they only did hardcovers, which was really strange. And I had a couple, but I may have sold them. I don't know if I have any left. I'll check. Yes, she does, but I don't know that I'd make that into a t-shirt. Give Wraith the shadow treatment head logo. All right. Well, probably not, but thank you for the suggestions. Black and red is not a good color combination, says Henry Jeremick. Since when? I know they're both dark colors. I mean, the red on my hat is probably too dark, because the on the logo on the cover, it's a lighter red. It's more of an orange red. You guys know how I am with, orange reds. So it reads much better, but I understand what you're saying. Okay. Who in the world is Charles Dana Gibson? I know that's what you're asking. And let me help you out here. Very prominent illustrator at the turn of the century, and I mean the 20th century, when it went from the 19th century to the 20th century. So, 100 years ago, 125 years ago. And he made famous the Gibson Girl. Okay, that was widely known when I was a kid in the 70s. It's probably fallen out of pop culture knowledge and awareness since then. But this is the look. And obviously he was a pen and ink artist mostly. But this was or is the Gibson Girl. Let's read a little bit about Mr. Gibson, shall we? As I bring up yet another. This is like the cliche, the most known picture that you would see of a Gibson Girl is that headshot right there. But here's some more. The faces were really pretty, and the hair was just crazy. So Charles Dana Gibson, born September 14th, 1867. Just a few years after the close of the Civil War. My dates are right? Didn't the Civil War end in 1865? Or was it 1850? Yeah. Isn't that right? I think that's right. Was an American illustrator who created the Gibson Girl, an iconic representation of the beautiful and independent American woman at the turn of the 20th century. He published his illustrations in Life magazine and other major national publications for more than 30 years. He became the editor. How about that? In 1918, and later owner of the general interest in the magazine. How about that? I did not know that. Now, he was born in Roxbury, Massachusetts. He had 5 siblings. He was a descendant of U.S. Senators James DeWolf and William Bradford. I know of Bradford. A talented youth with an early interest in art, Gibson was enrolled by his parents in New York City's Art Students League, where he studied for 2 years. Every time I read about the history of these guys, it drives me nuts because they had such great art schools back then that just do not exist anymore. And if you're an artist, and I know we have many in the chat who are, can you just imagine being able to go to some place like that and being taught by these guys that just were so good? All right. Peddling his pen and ink sketches, Gibson sold his first work in 1886 to Life magazine, founded by John Ames Mitchell and Andrew Miller. It featured general interest articles, humor illustrations, and cartoons. His works appeared weekly in the popular national magazine for more than 30 years. Wow. Let's take a look at some more of his stuff as we move along. This is another great illustration. And that's the thing. Again, I remind you guys that when we take a look at these older illustrators, in almost all instances, they were illustrating stories or, articles for magazines. And so they would take a scene from, whatever the article was on, or maybe it was an excerpt from a novel or something, and it would be in the magazine, and they would have an illustration or two to kind of go along with the story. And so a lot of these are just, that's what these were done for. But look at the wonderful body language and the expressiveness on these characters. This girl in the middle just cracks me up. Just kind of sitting there like she's waiting to be asked to dance. And then this gal over here looks very annoyed. Good fun stuff. Gibson quickly built a wider reputation with his drawings being featured in all the major New York publications, including Harper's Weekly, Scribner's, and Collier's Magazine. His illustrated books include the 1898 editions of Anthony Hope's The Prisoner of Zenda and its sequel, Rupert of Hentzau. I know most of us probably heard of The Prisoner of Zenda. Probably not a whole lot of you have heard of Rupert of Hentzau, but what are you going to do? As well as Richard Harding Davis's Gallagher and Other Stories. It is an oft-repeated urban legend that Gibson's wife and her elegant Langhorne sisters inspired his famous Gibson Girls, who became iconic images of the early 20th century society. The truth is that the first Gibson Girl appeared in 1890, more than 2 years before Gibson ever met the Langhorne family. And in the later years, it became fashionable for many of Gibson's friends and family to model for his illustrations. Their dynamic and resourceful father, Criswell Langhorne, had his wealth severely reduced by the Civil War, but by the late 19th century, which would have been the late 1800s, he had rebuilt his fortune on tobacco auctioneering and the railroad industry. Tobacco and the railroad industry. Where's that now? So Gibson became editor of Life magazine in 1918. As the popularity of the Gibson Girl faded after World War I, Gibson took to working in oils for his own pleasure. And in 1918, he was elected into the National Academy of Design as an associate member and became a full member in 1932 with academic standing. He retired in 1936. The same year, Scribner's published his biography, Portrait of an Era, as drawn by C.D. Gibson, a biography by Fairfax Downey. At the time of his death in 1944, he was considered the most celebrated pen and ink artist of his time, as well as a painter applauded by critics for his later work. How about that? Let's take a look at some more of his goodness. And I'm going to go off on a tangent here in a minute, but not till we see some more of this. I love this stuff. Now, again, I don't know you younger folks in the chat, if you guys have even been exposed to this before. Randy Howell, being a little bit more astute than I am, says, Aaron, I think the lady on the right is the chaperone, hence the buzzkill. Yeah, you might be right. That makes total sense. I love this gown, right? Look at this outfit she's wearing here. Look at that waist. If she had a corset on, she was not breathing. I love his faces, his women's faces. I love, and even the guys' faces too. That style of clothing is fun. All right, this is nice. These are all very similar, so I apologize for that. But he was a pen and ink artist, and he did a lot of this type of thing. So you got this guy trying to impress this lady with his card tricks. But look at the texture on the clothing and how he's not afraid to go in there with these lines and shade up her face and his face. There's a ton of line work And I'm always afraid to do that, especially on female figures. I don't like to put a lot of line work on there because I think it detracts from the beauty. But if you do it right, like he does, it looks great. And look at that hair. Oh my gosh, I love these hairstyles. And I wonder if they were actually like that or if these are exaggerated in these women's hairstyles. Geek Avenger says they're actually playing strip poker. So, well, there you go. Geek Avenger for 5 says, hit the like and subscribe for Aaron, you magnificent savages. I agree with that. Thank you. Yes, hit the like and subscribe button. Helps the channel grow so I can continue to bring you amazing content just like this. All right. Now I'm about ready to go off the rails, but let me show this image here. Okay. This is a very, very famous Gibson image. Look at that hair on that woman. Isn't that great? What did it take to do your hair like that? My gosh. Okay. So why am I going off the rails here? Have you guys ever heard of an ice cream parlor? It came about in the 60s, went all the way through the 70s. Finally, I think the last one closed in the 90s, but it's called Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor. Okay. They started in the Portland area. Was it, did I say 54 or 60? I think it was 60. I take it back. I think it was 64. And they were set up to look like, there it is, Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor Restaurant. So you can go in there and get a hamburger and stuff, but oh my gosh, they had like banana splits. I mean, just any kind of ice cream concoction you could think of. And all the guys were dressed like turn of the century bar, they'd have the mustaches, and they would have the shirts with kind of the puffy sleeves, and they'd have the band around the arm, like the bartender look. And they had the women dressed, at least originally, more to that period. They didn't have their hair like that or anything, but they had the costuming to go along with this. And it was the greatest place in the world because we would go in as kids, and it was like they had that music playing, that turn of the century kind of organ fun music. And you would go in there for birthday parties, or you just go in there for ice cream or whatever. And they had this thing called the pig's trough. That was, I think it was 6 scoops of ice cream. You could pick whatever you wanted: hot fudge, nuts, whipped cream, and it would, and if you ate the pig's trough, you won something, and these were incredible. And they ended up spreading all over the place. And I think the last one to close was actually in Southern California. Because we had one up here, I think when Josh was still a kid, and that would have been in the mid 90s. But then I think it obviously closed because they don't exist anymore. And it's really a shame. And the reason being, of course, they were in debt. They weren't doing business. And it's hard for me to imagine an ice cream parlor not doing business. Now, there's that image that I showed you earlier, and this was their menu. So I remember seeing this image as a little kid. And of course, my mom would tell me, because my mom was very aware of illustrators, and that's, the Gibson Girl or whatever, and they had a bunch of this type of art in there. But yeah, this is what they used for the menu. And I get why it probably went out of fashion by the 90s, because it, I'm sure kids would go, oh, we don't get it, but it was so much fun. And I'll bet if they opened them now, they'd probably be a hit again, because, everything, the retro feeling and everything that goes around comes around kind of thing. But I mean, it was the ultimate ice cream parlor. You literally could get like ice cream sodas, malts, any sort of concoction, matinee idols, parfaits, banana splits, root beer floats. I mean, it was incredible. It was incredible, I tell you. I'm getting a little misty, a little teary-eyed thinking about it. But anyway, so that was my first exposure to Charles Dana Gibson's art. But let's look at a few more pieces of his work here before we move on. It's another nice one. Look at this grumpy dude here. it kind of makes you wonder what's going on in the story here. Let's Randy Howell tell me. He's got insight. She looks very annoyed. He looks annoyed. He's kind of like, hey, babe, what's the problem here? So I don't know. Is this dad being a grouch that they made him go to the at a comedy, it says. So he's not getting the jokes. Everybody else thinks it's kind of fun in the back row here, but he doesn't think that's very funny. Got to have a sense of humor. And again, great pen and ink work, and how he would like cover the entire face and stuff with lines, right? And you see that type of work like in Wrightson's Frankenstein. Now, most of his influence was Franklin Booth and probably not Gibson so much, but there were a lot of guys who were, James Montgomery Flagg, who we'd done on the show, worked a lot in that type of style as well. So it was a prominent style, pen and ink style back in that time period. Now here's an oil painting. I don't like these as well. A little looser, a little rougher, but still interesting nonetheless. I mean, the gestures on these people are really good. And I guess it depends on, do you like loose? Or you want it more tight? But I'm referring to the painting style, of course. Here's another very sort of Gibson Girl-esque sort of pen and ink work. And again, look at, what I love also is look at how loose all this is, right? I mean, he goes in there and that face is just right on the money because that's your selling point, right? The figure work is really, really strong, but the inking is just incredibly loose. It's so funny because we as comic book artists will do what we call sketches, and they're really tight, and everybody's like, that's a sketch. This was considered finished art back in the day, and it almost looks like a sketch. So it's just like, it's flip-flopped. Leg Kick for 5. Thanks, Leg Kick. Appreciate that. He says, hello, Aaron. Your Frankenstein was great. Thank you. We'll be actually looking at that today when we get to the flat files. Here's another shot of, I really like his faces too. But just, again, look, he's cross-hatched this guy's entire face. All of the faces, quite frankly, are covered with line work. I would not be this bold. I wouldn't do it. But the thing is, the reason it works is because he's not just throwing a few lines there that suddenly attract your attention and make you think, what's going on with her face? He does the whole side of the face here with cross-hatching and stuff. And so then it just becomes a tonal rendering, right? And so it doesn't detract from her looks. This is a little odd up here. It almost looks like she has too much pancake on and did nothing on her neck. But this is nice, this lighting here. So this whole, her shoulder, upper torso area is just completely white, and the white here on her face, but then you've got, shadow lines here. Look at this guy's face. Look at how loose those hands are too, but how expressive at the same time. You can't even read his signature. It's loose. Everything's loose, man. And here's the last one. This is, I don't know if this is a study. I don't think it is because I saw 3 different phases of this. But this looks like an ink wash. And it looks like there could be some charcoal in there. Like right in here. And this looks like pencil or charcoal. But again, look at how loose it is. But it's just got such a nice energy to it. We should all be looser with our lines, but it's so hard to do that. It's easier to appreciate someone else who does it, but getting yourself to do it after spending decades training yourself to be super tight and, having really defined line work and nothing messy. It's a struggle for me to get that loose, but I love it. Love it. Anyway, okay, so that's Charles Dana Gibson, the guy who gave us the Gibson Girl, which probably none of you even remember, but you should go back and check it out. This stuff's really, really good, really fun, and it harkens back certainly to another day in time. Randy Howell, good question. I wonder how his art changed in the 1920s when clothing changed dramatically. Well, as I said, he did some stuff for World War I illustrations for like posters and things. And I'm sure that he just, the part of the Gibson Girl's appeal was this kind of upper crust society of the turn of the century. And when that sort of, when styles changed, because certainly the upper crust, the party, what am I trying to say? The upper crust that was the young partying type, they had very different clothing in the 20s, right? The roaring 20s and what they were wearing at the turn of the century. So, that's when it said in the biography that he went to start painting and doing less of this kind of line work illustration that had made him famous. So he probably saw the writing on the wall and said, you know what? Unless they open up an ice cream parlor, I think my work's done here. But I'll tell you this, it's very, at least for me, refreshing to go back and look at some of these illustrators that did this tremendous work, and you don't have any of this AI crap. You don't have any Photoshop. It was just guys with whatever tool they had and paper, and they went for it. And you had so much different looking stuff and so much interesting looking stuff. And creativity to me gets synthesized through technology, and it just loses something. You can say, oh yeah, it's really cool and it's really airbrushy and it's really slick and all these kind of things, but it loses its personality. And I think we're just going to see more and more of that go by the wayside as AI takes over and more technology continues to destroy our society. Shelley knows it's all AI crap. Shelley knows. Shelley's hinting at perhaps next week be her comeback. There you go. Shelley in the chat. Thank you, Shelley, for joining us. Appreciate it. Finally, a fun-filled episode of you driving Aaron insane. Awesome sauce. She just sent me some, for those of you who've been with us for a while, and if you remember the Uranus episode, that's the stuff that legends are made of right there. So, okay, let's take a look at some of my artwork. Since it is my show, why wouldn't I at least try and promote myself a little bit? All right, so I was just at Blix. We used to have an art supply chain in this Portland area called Art Media. And that's where we'd always go. When I say we, I mean us artists in the area would always go there. They had everything. It was the best art supply store. Then Blix, Dick Blix, now it just goes by Blix because you can imagine that, Dick Blick is probably not the best name. But in fact, Shelley saw me back in the 90s, in the early days, saw in, on our computer, saw in the history that I had been visiting a place called Dick Blix, and she thought I was going to like some porn site or something. And much to her shock, it was an art supply store online. So anyway, now they just call it Blix. But anyway, so I was in there and I picked up this paper, and I sometimes I get this paper and sometimes I don't. Boy, that was, what a comment. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. It's really expensive. I think this tablet for, how many sheets we got in here? 15 sheets, $23. But it's really nice paper. And it has, it's really heavy. And it's got different tones. I don't know if you can probably see it very well, but you've got like cream colored pages. Yeah, you can't, it goes all white, but there's gray in here. There's tan. I don't know. Every once in a while, I get this work, and then I'm afraid to use it because I'm like, if I screw it up, I've just wasted like essentially a one piece of sheet of paper that's about $1.50. So, but anyway, I picked that up, along with some shipping stuff. Okay, so I did this Frankenstein, just kind of a goofy Frankenstein, and on a whim, and that was the green one that I posted on Twitter and stuff. And I then promptly sold it. Someone said, "Oh, I got to have that." And I'm like, "Okay." And it's funny because Creative Face said you should draw Frankenstein smoking a cigarette. And the funny thing is, I had started this drawing before I saw her message that said that. And because I was thinking the same thing, I should draw Frankenstein smoking a cigarette. So there it is. This is a goofy Frankenstein, obviously way exaggerated. But this is the fun stuff. I should have worked for Mad Magazine. I would have had a lot more fun than getting caught up in this whole world of superhero comics. But this is the fun stuff. This is all a brush pen and then a little bit of micron here, but mostly brush pen. And then the heavy blacks on the side of his face, that's all India ink. So I actually took a brush and went in with the ink. This isn't really in my flat file since it's in my portfolio, but I don't know. You do stuff like this, and my mom just shakes her head when she sees it. She's like, "What is it with you drawing like ugly old men?" I go, "Mom, it's Frankenstein smoking. Don't you get it?" I mean, this stuff entertains the heck out of me, and I can't explain why. But I do this. It just cracks me up. I really enjoy doing ridiculous stuff like this. This I did on Comicsgate Kings, that leprechaun right there for St. Patty's Day. I really enjoy doing silly, goofy stuff like this because you have exaggeration, right? And when you're exaggerating, then there's no real limits or restrictions, maybe I should say. I did this on Graybeards, the Pogo. They're all smoking in the swamp. I don't know why I think smoking is so funny, but I do. I mean, I don't smoke. I never have, but when we were kids, we used to get those candy cigarettes, right, and hang around like we were smoking. So I thought, why don't we make all the Pogo characters smoking? It's good fun. It's good family fun. You guys probably seen that Kit Carter. That actually Kit Carter. Both these are up for sale on my my website, which you'll find a link in the description of this video. Take you right there if you're into the original art scene. Yeah, I got a Chenoo. I even did a Chenoo for Graham. Look at that. Anyway, you know, I just thought I'd share a few of those. But this is, you know, if I'm not doing it on Graybeards, and which is my draw. If you don't know, Graybeards is a draw stream featuring a live draw stream featuring David Williams, myself, Gary Martin, and Dan Lawless, and Kelsey Shannon if he ever shows up again. And we just, you know, we put a poll out on Twitter every Monday, and then we let you guys vote on what you want to see us draw, and then subject matter wise, and then we go in and draw stuff live and kibitz, as they say, and talk about whatever. So a lot of that, you know, a lot of these sketches are from that. But I enjoy in the evening sitting around drawing. You know, I did just show this, but this one here, this Weird World piece from the 70s, it was one of my favorite comics. John Buscema, well, Plug originally drew it, and then Buscema took over, and it was just kind of like a Lord of the Rings kind of thing. It was just, I just really liked it, and so that was kind of my homage to that. So anyway, there you go. How about that? That's what's in the old flat files today. Am I trying for a sponsorship from Philip Morris? John Durham, Rip Kelsey. Well, let's hope he's still alive. Rand says, where do you post the poll? I post it on my Twitter page every Monday. It varies. You know, I try to get it in there by early Monday afternoon. Sometimes it shows up Monday night, and then it goes all through Tuesday. And I try to repost it multiple times and ask you guys when you vote to repost so that people will see it and more people can vote on it. Geek Avenger for $2. Next Graybeard's Bigfoot smoking. Have I done Bigfoot smoking? I don't think I have. But that would certainly, I've got an idea for something where one of the choices cryptids. And but it's not my turn to pick. I think it's Dan Lawless's turn. I think he's got some really bizarre choices coming up this week, like characters with laser eyes or that can shoot lasers out of their eyes. And I can't remember a couple other bizarre choices. So it'll be a good one. It'll be good. There's Randy saying, yeah, Twitter handle is just at Aaron Lopresti. I'm so easy to find because on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, it's all Aaron Lopresti. My website, aaronlopresti.com. If you can spell my name, you can find me. That's the beauty of it all. Okay, I want to show you guys something you probably haven't seen. Barry Smith. I came upon this simply by accident, and I thought, I've never seen that before. So let me show you. Maybe some of you have seen it. I should have a little intro that says, I've never seen this before, but I don't. So we're just going to go right into it. Check this out. So Barry Smith, this would have been, this was a box, this is 20 centers box. This is probably 72, no later than 73. This is a Tomb of Dracula cover that Barry Smith penciled, and then it never got used. Now, this guy, this constable back here, he isn't finished yet. But a lot of this stuff, the zombies, the girl, Dracula, is all pretty much finished. So, I mean, this is, I don't understand why you'd get this far in a drawing and then someone changed their mind and go, yeah, we don't want to use it. I mean, maybe Barry Smith said, you know what? I don't like this. I don't know why it didn't get used. Henry Jeremek's ruining the fun says, yeah, I saw it before. Okay, well. Now, I don't know what issue this was supposed to be for, but I can't imagine that whatever cover they use is better than this. Although, you know, it was Gene Colan, so maybe. Oh, Clint says, I've seen it. All right, well, I'm not going to, okay, be that way. I'm not going to bring in any more. Not for a long time, I don't think. I was never a Tomb of Dracula reader. I don't like vampires. I find them incredibly boring unless it's a Nosferatu vampire, which is what I used in Wraith of God 2, Blood Hunters, was a, the bald, pointy-eared. They look more like a goblin, and so they're more interesting looking to me. They look kind of like monsters, whereas Dracula is just a dude in a suit with a cape and a mustache. It's like, come on, man. Just, too boring. So anyway, I just thought I didn't realize so many people had already seen it. I had never seen it. So, well, Clint says he's kind of on the fence with Barry. I like some of his art, and some of it is kind of meh. It depends on. He has a definitive style, right? And his faces are kind of are very unique. Let's put it that way. They got more when he got into the 80s and was doing like Weapon X and some of the X-Men covers and things like that. And he would do he'd do an issue of X-Men here and there. His faces were more what you'd expect to see. When he was doing like Conan, he had like really big eyes and really tiny noses. It was very stylized, and some people couldn't stand it. Other people loved it. So, it's like anything else. It's subjective. Okay, so what do you guys think about this? I just found this the other day on eBay, and I feel like this is a comic book that I should own. Iron Man versus Frankenstein. Isn't that a book that I should own? I don't own this book. And this Val Merrick cover, which is really interesting, because I would guess that Val Merrick has never drawn. Let's take off our ticker here so we can see the whole thing. I would guess this is the only time that Val Merrick has ever drawn Iron Man. I might be wrong, but as I look at this, I don't collect Iron Man other than a few covers that I like some Gil Kane covers and stuff that I like. But I kind of feel like I should have this book in my collection. Eh, oh man. And Dino Palazzi, what do you know? Yeah, Henry Jarrick says George. Yeah, I know George Tuska did the interiors. I'm not a huge Tuska fan. Val's a good friend of mine from way back. I shouldn't say a good friend. It's not like we have dinner and stuff, but I mean I know him pretty well over the years. Good dude. He used to live in this area, and he's moved to Texas since. Clint says you should buy it. Now I do own Iron Man 100, which has that great Jim Starlin cover. I have that. I did pick that up not too long ago. But I think I will. I can get this for like $20, And I should buy this, shouldn't I? Yeah, I should. We're waiting to find out what our kids do, though. Rand Arrington is going, yes. It's a great cover. Get it. Love Val's work on Frankenstein and the Living Mummy. So did I. Oh my gosh, I have all the Living Mummies. I think I have. Did I show you guys this before? If I can find it again here on my. I'm scouring my desktop looking for this artwork. Oh, I might have dumped it when I was cleaning up my. Because I think I showed it on Graybeards, but it's a splash page of the Living Mummy floating in outer space that Val Merrick did. It's like my favorite, Val Merrick page ever. And there we go. Balton Saijin said, I would buy it if I were you. I think you're right. I should get it. Is this new? I just watched the 2000 AD Simon Bisley studio interview. Is that on YouTube? I should have Bisley on this show. The problem is I can't understand half of what he says when I talk to him. He's got that thick English accent, and then he talks fast. And I'm just like, half the time I'm going, you betcha. So I don't know. I should. He's a hoot, man. That guy's he's a hoot. Marcus says that's Val Merrick, inked by Dave Cockrum. I saw the DC on there, and I should have known it was Dave Cockrum, but I didn't register. I was like, who's DC? But of course, Dave Cockrum. Marcus says I had that issue of Iron Man, but you don't anymore. Now, I talked about earlier what my first comic book purchase was. My very first comic book I ever bought was, and I didn't realize this because I'm old and it was a really long time ago, but I remember seeing, I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going off the rails here. You have to forgive me. So this is the very first comic that I bought with my own money. And how I discovered this was I thought the very first comic I bought with my own money was Spider-Man 138, the issue with the mind worm in it. But that was a 25-cent book, right? And I had this book when I was a kid, and it's a 20-cent book. It came out a year before that Spider-Man comic did. And I remember buying this comic. So this was actually the very first comic book that I ever bought with my own money. You know, I laid that 20 cents down, baby, and I took the Frankenstein monster home with me. And the only reason I bought it was because it was the Frankenstein monster. I didn't think, oh my gosh, look, a groovy Buscema cover. And Buscema, of course, was on the inside. And at the very last page, spoiler, Dracula shows up. So I should get issue 8 with Dracula in it. Kind of a team-up thing, right? But anyway, so I do have this. It's not the copy I bought when I was a kid. I went back and bought a nice near mint copy for my collection. But this is actually the first comic book that I bought with my own money. Pretty crazy. Right there, off the stands. 1973, which would have made me 9 years old. Oh man, the good old days. Riding our bikes down to the local market to buy sugary treats, soda, and comic books, and an occasional Mad magazine or Cracked magazine. Art of Roy dropping in to say hi. Hey, Art of Roy, thanks for joining us. Yeah. All right, so what do you guys think about this? I am really going off the rails today, sorry, but we'll do Buscema in a minute. I hate this cover, but anyway, so this is the book that I published through Watson Guptill back in 2008, 2007, 2006, 2005. I don't even remember. Now I've been picking up copies of this wherever I can because it didn't sell well at all, and it's really hard to find. And I just sold the very last copy that I had possession of to somebody. And what this is, besides being just a horrifically bad designed cover, which I did not want to do, they made me do. And it's not, the execution ain't great either, but it's a terrible design. But this book featured things like Little Bigfoot, not smoking. Although, if you read each one of these characters had like a little comedic write-up that went along with them. So you'd get a color illustration of this strange creature. You'd get like field guide illustrations, like if someone was out in the wilderness sketching these things, you know, different things that related to the particular character. And then you had a page, you know, a couple paragraphs, whatever, write-up about the creature itself. And I do believe that the joke on this, well, one of the jokes on this was that Little Bigfoot, the reason he's Little Bigfoot is because all the smoking and coffee drinking stunted his growth or something to that nature. So even though he's not, I didn't drawing him smoking, and I really wish I had now drawn this picture with him smoking a cig. But that was part of his story, even though I didn't include it in the drawing. And this is a watercolor painting. So what I would do here is I do the pencil drawing, and then I would watercolor it, right? And then you see this outline here. This is outlined with colored pencil. So I'd go in with like a brown colored pencil to give it that hard edge. And it's one of those weird things when you're a comic book artist, you've been doing it your whole life. It's hard to let go of that hard edge because you're so used to seeing it, right? And when you're painting, you know, you've got soft edges, generally speaking, or you have color is what's making your edge. It can be a very sharp line of color, but you still have color. You don't have like a delineated line to separate. And it just bugged me. So I outlined all of them with colored pencil, which I think worked well. And that's just, I guess that's probably as legitimate a style as anything else. And here's another drawing. This is the troll monkey. Lives under bridges like a troll would. And he also smoked, but I didn't draw him smoking. Probably because I thought this might be a kid's book to a certain degree, even though it's not. I mean, there's nothing like adult or mature in it that, or as I like to say, immature in it, you know, that a kid couldn't read, but maybe I didn't want to like have all these characters smoking and Now I would do it in a heartbeat because it's just everybody knows that smoking is bad for you. So that makes it even funnier, I think. Okay, so anyway, the reason I bring all this up is I've been thinking. I remember Bill Stout, okay, William Stout, the illustrator, right? And he did the forward for this book. And I remember complaining to him about, how they made me do this cover. This was their cover design, and I didn't like it, and I didn't want to do it. And he was like, what you should do is you go do your own cover, print it up as a wrap, and then put it around all your soft covers and sell them with with the new cover on it. But the more I thought about it, I was like, I own the rights to this book. Why don't I publish a revised edition of this book with a new cover on it and maybe a few new characters added to it? And there's not a ton, but there's a few illustrations in here that I think kind of suck and I would like to redo. And just like redo a few of the illustrations, maybe add a few new characters, and do it as a hardcover as opposed to this paperback, and do the new cover that I wanted to do all along. So what do you guys think? Should I do it? I mean, it wouldn't be that much work. It's a humor book with weird creatures in it. Very niche market for sure. Geek Avenger says, oops, Irish goodbyes, D&D game tonight. How are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? There's a joke from SpongeBob where they took Mr. Krabs and played D&D, and they had like fake ears on, fake elf ears on, and the pointy hats. I'm making fun of you, Geek. Henry Throne's like, listening while running on the treadmill now. Please do at least another 20 minutes. Oh, yeah, we got at least another 30. Yeah, all the work is done. Easy crowdfunder. I'd have to raise enough, though, to cover the publishing costs. And it's like, I think it's like 100 pages or something. I mean, all their books had to be like 126, some weird number, like 126 pages. So they would take like a single illustration and turn it into a double page spread so that it could cover more pages to get to their page count, which really ticked me off. The design of the book sucks. And so there's a lot that I'd reformat it and do it the way I wanted to do it from the very beginning. But I'm imagining it's 8.5 by 11, probably 100 page. It would probably have to raise $8 to $10 grand just to cover costs. You'll probably do that. For a book like this, it would be a little bit different than, a graphic novel. But I would like to have my one book that I actually be done the way I wanted it to be done. Couldn't really do it for something like this, Rand. The color illustrations and stuff, it'd be too. It's one thing to do it for like a black and white, just a novel. But an illustrated book like this, yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it as print on demand. I think it'd be too expensive. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. Does Amazon do? I mean, I assume you're saying that Amazon sets up a thing where they do print on demand. The thing with Amazon's a ripoff, not to the buyer, but to the seller. They expect you to give them product for like almost no profit so they can sell it dirt cheap. And so you may get exposure, but you're not getting any money out of it. And that's the frustrating thing. And this, I was talking to a gal who does illustrations for Disney Fine Arts. It was basically the same thing. It's like Disney doesn't pay you crap, but they do allow you to sell prints and stuff of whatever you produce for them. So you're not making any money on what they sell. It's like the privilege of working for Disney, but they do allow you to like do limited runs and stuff. Like I talked to this gal at San Diego a couple of years ago, a really good artist. And she would do like her version of Brave, the Irish girl with the red hair, or the Scottish girl, whatever she was. and different like Lilo and Stitch and things like that. But they were more realistic. Like, what if these characters were more realistic? And so she would do these for Disney Fine Arts, and then they'd allow her to do X amount of prints that she could sell. But it's like they don't pay crap, and apparently there's not much of an incentive program, if any. So all the stuff that they're selling, these really expensive, $150 lithographs signed by the artist, whatever, and the artist is getting practically nothing for them, but a lot of them do it so they can say, yeah, I work for Disney, and that helps them sell their other stuff, I guess. But yeah. So yeah, Amazon's a ripoff. At least it was last time I tried to do it. Hellraiser just bought a copy of that book for $15 on eBay. I'm usually the one out there buying all these things, and then reselling them to you guys at inflated prices, but at least I sign them. So, when people do soft covers that way, but produce a hardcover, I don't like print. Yeah, he's giving me the shrugs. Like, hey, I tried. Randy Howell said, what if you operate your own Amazon storefront? I just talked to somebody who does that and was telling me what a ripoff it is. So I don't know. I don't know. I would much rather have a print run and have it, available to me, because then you're doing digital printing and things like that, which is good. I mean, it can be good, but it can also not be great. It depends on who's doing the printing and stuff. And the less control I have over that, then I'm always concerned about what the final product looks like and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of, I'm just very type A. I mean, I want to do everything myself, because that way I know what, it's going to be. And I like controlling my own inventory. I'm very controlling, I guess is what I'm saying. This is very true. But you see that, in the mainstream comics, Marvel and DC cutting rates. Marvel being the most prominent one. I don't really know what DC rates are these days, but I know for a fact that Marvel is just like cutting rates like crazy. And that's why you see all these guys, these prominent artists, doing their own books through Image or whatever, because the deals at Marvel suck. And so, and most people are learning. They watch us and see us, crowdfund and doing our own books, and they're like, hey, why can't we do our own books? And so a lot of people are doing their own stuff now, which is great. So you're probably having a better quality product anyway. It's just you have to let loose of the icons that you've grown to know and love, like Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four and all that kind of stuff, obviously. But anyway, so I'm seriously thinking about doing in some way, shape, or form, doing a reboot of that book. Jerry Rasco for 20. Thank you, Jerry, very much. He goes, hoping for 2 shout outs. First, my YouTube channel, where weekly I review the art in Amazing Spider-Man issues starting at Amazing Fantasy 15. Wow. That'll give you a few episodes. Second, my Indiegogo mailing list for the second issue of my comic, M Squad. Both can be found under my name. So there you go. Go check out Jerry's Indiegogo. Early sign up right now for M Squad. I would assume you can use either M Squad or Jerry Rasco. Type that in and you should be able to find it. And also go to his YouTube channel and check it out. In fact, I'm going to go check that out, Jerry, and see listen to you rip on other artists. Can't wait. Thank you, though, for the $20. And there you go. Green Laser says, it happened to my 4 novels, but I only went with ebooks when I went through them. Okay. Heart of Roy, adopt the philosophy of I ain't got no shame in my game attitude like Eric July. I need David Williams to say that because I can't do it well. Dr. Mass says, Marvel, $3.35 an hour plus tips. What's not to love? When I started working, when I was 13, I think I was making like $1.50 an hour or something, $1.35 an hour, something like that. And technically, I wasn't old enough to work. You're not supposed to start working. You get your worker's permit when you were 14. I started working under the table when I was 13 because I wanted cash for comics, baby. Aaron sent you that splash page, The Living Mummy in Space with Messenger. You're as bad as David Williams. Wait a minute, is that Facebook? It's Facebook, right? Now let's see. Let's see. Oh yeah, there it is. Oh, what happened? Okay. Yes, gosh, I love this. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Kellraiser. We'll share this. And then I swear we'll get to Buscema. I swear it. So that's the Living Mummy page. Oh, Tony Isabella, formerly a man, who did the writing on this. 1974. Is that number 6 or number 8? I can't tell. Looks like number 8. And he lands on this planet, like he's traveling through a dimension or something. He fights these mud guys. So it's like the ultimate book for me, like a living mummy fighting mud men. It's great. Loved it. All right. You've gone too far this time, pal. Clean up. I gotta clean you guys up sometimes. There it is, Jenny Isabella. But if Jenny Isabella is truly a new being, then Jenny Isabella did not write this. Tony Isabella wrote it, who apparently doesn't exist anymore because he's now become Jenny Isabella, or whatever. Man, we have a sick society, folks. I'm just saying. All right. I think I've gone off the rails enough. Let's take a look. If I can find my intro. There it is. All righty. Hey, you guys have a huge audience right now. I thank you all for joining me, first of all. And secondly, hit that like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. I'd greatly appreciate it. If you're watching on Twitter, take time in your busy schedule next week to run over and hit the like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. Jeff Potts, you're right. You can never go off the rails too much. Okay. So, boy, you want to talk about hard choices. The only thing that's going to be more difficult for me to pick covers than John Buscema is when we get to Gil Kane. But anyway, let's go. These are not in any particular, except the final 3 will be the top 3 in my book. But beyond that, let's start with a remake. Should we say an homage? This is the cover to FF 126. This is, oh, I'm sorry, Jack, but this is a superior version of Jack's cover, in my opinion. I love the box art. So this is 1972. That's how you tell, because the little box cover there, right? Framing there. And this is, of course, a retelling, Buscema retelling the origin of the Fantastic Four. And he, of course, is recreating the cover to Fantastic Four #1 by Jack Kirby. And of course, Marcus Killigrew letting us know this was indeed inked by Joe Sinnott. I actually bought a 9.4 of this because I love it. I just think it's a great cover. I mean, obviously, Kirby's is iconic, but this is a great recreation of it, I think. Rand Darrington has to head out the door. Thanks for joining us, Rand. Check us out in reruns for the rest of the show. Appreciate it very much. Okay, someone had mentioned Submariner early. I do. I love Buscema's Submariner work. But this maybe is too obvious, but I picked it anyway because it is sort of an iconic Submariner issue. And it was, of course, Submariner #1 coming from 1968. As you can see, it is the big premiere issue. And he did what I always like, which is a big central image to draw the focus of the reader. I don't like covers that are too busy because they tend to get lost. But if you can do big central images and see if you got the background stuff going on, characters in the background, but it's all sort of just line work with a light blue to kind of simulate being underwater. These kind of almost ghost images behind him, so they don't draw your attention from the main figure of the submariner. But it gives you like some interesting little secondary things to look at and draw you in. Okay, I know you guys, you Conan people. And there's a lot of good Conan covers he did in the regular series, but I kind of like I like these painted covers because he didn't get to see these do these very often. Look at this. Black Brother, the man who lost a world. And of course, the coming of the Man Thing. I don't know if that's very good phrasing there, but this is the first appearance and origin of the Man Thing by Gray Morrow. Kazar, of course, is in here. So anyway, I'm sure John was just freaking beside himself that he got an opportunity to do an oil painting for a cover of a magazine like this. Because this was really John's dream and his jam. And I say this as someone who never met John, so I only say stuff based on what I read. But he was more of a fantasy illustrator. He loved Hal Foster, and Conan, and also Weird World, which he really, really loved working on. Which we talked about earlier when I was showing stuff from my flat files. He enjoyed the fantasy aspect of art way more than he ever liked doing superheroes. Now, this is actually, that painting on Savage Tales #1 is not my favorite. This is Savage Tales #2. Once again, another Buscema painting. I love the figure work. This is a great cover. I love it. I just love it. I'm curious at how quickly he had to turn these around. I love it how Conan is like, you can see the stones breaking away here as he's pulling these chains loose. Can he do it in time to save this poor naked girl who's about to get her head chopped off? I think he can because he's Conan. But I love this cover. All your focus is right here on these, you got these three figures bunched up together here. And it just works really, really well. Artie Roy says, "You sure that's Buscema?" Yep, I'm sure. Now this one, I don't know. You may or may not agree with me on. This is the first appearance of Fire Lord. And yes, I have a copy of this in near mint condition, in case you're wondering. This is some really exaggerated anatomy, but I don't know. I like there's a thickness in the musculature in the character, even though we're seeing him from behind. You got Thor and Hercules in the foreground. Randy Hall, of course, he's referring to the Savage Tale cover. He says, "The smoke from that brazier is blocking my view." I just love the weightiness of Buscema's characters. I mean, look at how jacked up his thighs are. I mean, this is. I wonder why he did this kind of bow-legged thing where he maybe would have extended the legs out farther, so he didn't quite have that bowing in it. But I still don't care. I still love it. As jacked up as it is, I love it. Buscema had a great ability to create weight with his characters without necessarily using like huge areas of black, like Wrightson would or David Finch does to create volume. He had a way of doing it with just certain black placements in the right spots to kind of give it weight and thickness. Now, this is one that was brought up earlier. Was it Henry Jeremick? I can't remember now. This was reminiscent of the cover to FF112, the Hulk versus Thing cover. Again, a black cover. And I don't know which, the funny thing is, I'm not sure which one of these came out first. They had to be very, very close. No, you know what? The FF112 is a 15 center. This is a 12 center. So he actually did this one before the Hulk versus Thing. But this, of course, out of the whole Submariner run, other than the first issue, this is the expensive one because it's Submariner versus Thing, but it's also that black cover is really hard to get in high grade for those of you out there collecting. I do have a copy of this, but it's not near mint. It's probably like VF-ish. It's nice, but it's not a gem. But again, a great use of just this black background to really draw your attention off the newsstand. You got two centralized figures going at it. It's just, I love how him and Gil Kane would always like bend the characters' bodies in a certain way to make sure they fit on the page. So you didn't have like their leg bleeding off or whatever. They always fit on the page. And that's something I don't really do. I always have them bleeding off the page. Because if I drew Submariner in that pose, everybody'd go, that looks stupid. But when Buscema does it, you're like, that looks pretty cool. I like it. Again, I think again, on covers, the simpler, the better. Because it reads better from a distance. Again, the thing is, we're not dealing with newsstand sales anymore, so I don't think it matters as much. But I'm still drawn to big, powerful imagery, which is usually simpler imagery and not like super busy. Now look at this. You got a bunch of characters on this, but they're so well delineated. Again, you have the black background, right, that really sort of sets this off. You find the same sort of effect with a white background. The black cover, though, tends to really, really sing for some reason. And I do have a nice copy of this as well. But I love the figure work. I love the Buscema figure work, first of all. Now, you could argue that the Hulk is way too tiny down here. He's about the same size as the Black Panther. Look, Iron Man is bigger than the Hulk. But if you push that aside and just look at the Iron Man pose, I think is great. It's not a pose you see a lot. The Thor and Captain America poses are good. Actually, I love this Hulk pose too. It's like he's reaching out to grab him instead of, swinging back the punch. It's a little unexpected, but still cool. And I will say this, the old Avengers lineup on the right-hand side would absolutely destroy the new Avengers lineup on the left-hand side. I mean, are you kidding me? Iron Man and Hawkeye, that's over in 2 seconds. Thor and Cap, sorry, Cap, I love you, but you're not winning that one. And the Hulk's about to tear off Black Panther's head. Now, Giant Man versus Goliath here, that's probably a pretty close fight since I think they're the exact same character. Aviator Surge is joining us. Thank you for that. Appreciate it, man. Glad to see you here. That's right. I like big figures and I cannot lie. So yeah, I really like this cover. Again, you can argue that the Hulk is too small, and it makes you wonder if maybe this got pasted on. It wasn't part of the original drawing. I don't know, but I love the drawing of the Hulk in and of itself, even though it's too small. If you'd drawn the Hulk the actual size, he would have covered up everything else. And I think that was probably the problem that he faced. Now this one, I love this cover, but I don't know that if everybody else would, or think of it as an iconic John Buscema cover. But again, the first issue of Kazar, I'm trying to remember, did Buscema do the guts of this? I have this book, but I can't remember if John did the insides or if he was just doing the cover. But it's a very typical sort of Conan-esque cover. It just happens to be Kazar with his little bison pelt shorts on. Help me out, you guys in the chat. Did Buscema do the insides of this? Anyone? Bueller? Okay. Green Laser says the arrow that Hawkeye was shooting at Iron Man says it's tipped with an energy neutralizing tip. So Iron Man's armor would be dead. Okay. All right. I'll take that. Captain Bitbo. I would have to go. I don't have this slabbed, so I would have to go dig it out of my comic box to open it. That sounds like work to me, and you know how I have an aversion to work. Hey, how about that? We have over 500 people viewing. That is fantastic. Thank you guys so much. And most of it's on X. You guys can't hit the like and subscribe on X, but I appreciate you watching. Thank you. Who's Mark Severin? You mean John Severin? But that could be the giant-sized one, not the regular series one. Yeah, John inked the cover, but who did the interiors on the book? Paul Reinman and Mike Royer. Is that who did the interiors? Oh, Mark, you meant to say Marie. Marie Severin did that. That's the King's. That's like there was a Kazar #1, but it was like a giant size. That was like the first Kazar #1, where on the cover, somebody who was the inker on that cover, it was pissed at Marvel, and they wrote the F word in the bushes on that cover, and so it's like kind of known as the swearing cover or something, which made it worth a little bit more money. Paul Reinman, I don't even know who that is. Now I am going to have to go crack it open. Okay. But anyway, I love this cover. Okay, here we go. Here's my, you could argue this is probably not his, well, you could definitely argue this is not his best Silver Surfer cover, but it's still pretty iconic. So I put it on here anyway. This book, this whole series is so good until you read it. Stan tanked this. Stan's take on the Silver Surfer I did not like. He was wimpy and whiny, but Buscema's artwork on this series was so good. Now, the first issue Senate inked. I think the first 2 issues Senate inked. Again, Marcus Kilgore will call me out on this. But and then I think Sal Buscema took over inking the interiors after that. John Buscema didn't like Sinnott's inks because he was too slick. I really like Sinnott over Buscema, at least his superhero work. I wouldn't want him over Conan because then it would be too slick. But his superhero stuff, and guys like George Klein, who inked, I thought Buscema inked well. I inked him over the Avengers a lot. Did nice work over John in this period of time. Yeah, there you go. That's the king-sized Kazar #1 from 1970 that has the F word written in the bushes. Yeah, I always pronounce it Kazar. Some people pronounce it Kazar. But I always thought Kazar was more barbarian sounding. But I don't know how to pronounce it. correctly. Unless Kazar is correct, and then I guess I do know. But if it isn't, I've never had anybody sort of verify the actual pronunciation. I'm with Henry on this. I love Buscema's Silver Surfer. I just love it. I just wish Stan had done a better job writing this stuff. But I just think his take on the character was wrong. And, you know, nobody wants to sit and read a story about a whiny superhero. And even if it's drawn great. But anyway. All right, here we go. Here's Buscema's top 3 covers in my most humble opinion. I don't know if my opinion's that humble, but here we go. Number 3. Yeah, Behold the Vision. There is 2 great page, and I think George Klein inked the interiors here. But the opening page of this, where the Vision is flying, is just, it's, the figure work is wonderful. It's almost sort of poetic. And then, of course, the last splash page is, he's shedding a tear or something, because like even an android can cry or something. I think that was the last page of this, wasn't it? It makes me want to go look this up. I'm going to do it right now. There it is. Oh, come on now. That's what I want right there. I love this page, and I wonder if it was up for auction, what it would go for. Check this out. If you have not seen, look at this page. Isn't that awesome? I just love this figure work. I mean, it's not particularly dynamic. It's just really well drawn, and it's just sort of elegant in a way, but still manly because Buscema drew it. I love this page. Andino says Avengers 12, terrible cover, just terrible. Avengers 12. I'm trying to remember which one that was. I'm actually looking at some old Avengers comics. Keep thinking about buying some of those really early ones. You know, this is actually a really good idea for Art of Roy. I'd like to see a series of books from Marvel of all the Maurice Severin, Gil Kane, and whomever comics cover layouts. Yes, that would be that would be incredibly interesting. I wonder if they just think the only people who would buy it would be artists and it's not a big enough audience. I don't know. But anyway, I love this page. And then, of course, the last page of him like shedding a tear. All right, number 2, in my opinion, second best John Buscema cover ever. Hello. Yeah, we already talked about it, but God, this is good. I mean, this is, to me, this is the essence of cover layout. When you create a cover that makes people, I mean, not just want to, but you've got to buy this comic. How do you not buy this comic? And the interiors by Buscema and Sinnott are fantastic in this as well. But like I said, I was a 7-year-old kid, knew nothing about any of the superheroes. I didn't know any of them. And I saw this, and out of all the comics around the rack, I had to have this one because it was just like 2 big monsters going at it. I was like, are you kidding me? Just great. Henry Jeremick pointing out the zipatone under the Vision's cape on that splash page we just looked at. And Green Laser saying, little known fact, the Vision was singing Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head in those panels. Which he could have been. Well, actually, no, he couldn't have been, because that song came out in 1969. And I think that Vision issue was 67 or 68. So it predated Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Now look, John Buscema just made a liar out of me. All characters don't fit on the cover. Well, I guess I'm a liar then. But I still love it. So there you go. Now, John Buscema's, we all know what this is the best cover, most imitated, most recreated, Silver Surfer #4. Another great freaking issue. Was this? No, this was Sal Buscema Inc. This one probably, #4. I don't think Sinnott got past issue #2. But this is another great, it has a great Loki splash page. Not low key, but Loki, the evil brother of Thor, just kind of sitting there on his throne, just being pissed, which, because Loki's always pissed. You're going to make me look it up. I'm going to do it because it's so good. There it is. I always do these shows and I fill my desktop up with all these like things I'm pulling off the internet, and then I got to dump them all at the end of the. All right, so check this out. I mean, first of all, this cover is great. I mean, come on. I don't even know how a cover could be better. You got two iconic characters. I mean, look at Thor's about ready to take his head off of that hammer. I mean, this is, again, it's like, oh my gosh, I have to buy this book. Now, this was before my time. This was 68, so I was only a wee lad of 4 years old. So this would not have been on my radar. But, oh, baby, I picked it up as a back issue like in the early 70s because it was so cool. Anyway, here's the splash page I was talking about. You know, I don't know why they didn't do the lettering in perspective. It would have been better. But these guys are probably getting paid $5 a page to letter. So they're like, yeah, you want to do it in perspective, buddy? You do it in perspective. Randy Hall says, two beefy guys meeting at the Rainbow Club. There you go. So Sal inked it. Marie colored it. They didn't give colorists credit back then. Look. So you got Sal Buscema inked it. Artie Simek did the lettering. Perhaps the greatest fantasy saga of all time. Indeed it is. Marie did a lot of coloring. I mean, Marie did all the coloring. I shouldn't say all, but probably all of the coloring for EC Comics. And my guess is she did a bunch for Marvel back in the 60s as well. But what just a freaking great, iconic image of Loki. Just fantastic. And there's not a lot of detail here, but the weight of the character, the figure work is so good. Oh, Bill Everett may have colored this. How about that? That's interesting for sure. All right, so there you go. That is our look at John Buscema Covers. And like I said, I could have done 50 more that were really, really good. He's one of those guys I go back and I'll buy Buscema covers just because I like the cover on the comic. It's funny how, I mean, I always liked Buscema when I was a kid, but I just, same with Gil Kane, but my appreciation for them has gone up so much the older I've gotten, that I would even steal from them perhaps. So that's where I'm at with these guys these days. It might just be nostalgia, but gosh darn it, Buscema could draw, man. That guy could draw. All right. Excuse me. Let's see here. I got so many windows open. It's crazy. Oh. Did I forget anything? I didn't. So that means we only have one thing left, but it's a huge thing. It's like the thing that the pillar, the foundation of this show. It's right here. I was starting to get worried because I thought we have gone through so many videos of Bigfoot and other cryptids. It's like, how can there possibly be any more? But all those Bigfoot fanatics out there, they just don't let me down. They keep creating content for us. And so we've got some videos for you and I, you and me. Yeah, you and me to check out today. I've had this one for like 3 weeks and I forgot about it. This is proof of the Lake Champlain monster. Or is it? You tell me. So these people are out specifically looking for the Lake Champlain monster. And so they got them little, what do you call it? Auto little flying things with the cameras on them. Chew dust priest. What is wrong with me? Anyway, here we go. There, right there, right there. See that right there? What is that? What is that? Right there it is. Drones. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now this is in slow motion, so that's why the guy's paddling so slow, but it feels a bit like a setup, doesn't it? Like that guy just happens to be out there paddling and that creature happens to be following them. But I mean, there is something, it appears to be there actually something under the water there. But as we all know that Lake Champlain has sturgeon in it. So my guess would be if this is actually legit, which it could be, that's more than likely a sturgeon. Yeah, right there. Everybody's like, I don't see anything. Right there, right there, right there. See it? And it could be, you're right, it could be a lot, it could be anything, quite frankly. But if it's an actual live creature, and again, this is in slow motion, so I don't know if it's moving. I mean, part of it looks like a fish right in there, that it could be a sturgeon or something. But there's no indication that it is a sea monster of any kind. So, but the tales live on in good old Lake Champlain. This is a video I call Ridiculous Nessie. Now, there's actually 4 cryptids. If you remember, a few weeks ago, it might have been a couple of months ago now, I did a debunking show where I went and gathered evidence on 4 different cryptids that I pretty much felt that there was substantial evidence that they were all hoaxes. And one of them was the Loch Ness Monster. One of them was the Chupacabra. And I remember the other 2 were some weird, bizarre things I'd never heard of. But here I am, after debunking Nessie, showing you a Nessie video, because I call this the ridiculous Nessie video. You tell me, maybe I'm ridiculous for not seeing what I'm not seeing, but let's take a look at this. How is this proof of anything? Are we supposed to, like, 2 little eyes right there, maybe? I mean, what in the world? This right here, other than being darker, doesn't look any different than this over here or this over here. Now, this is a photograph allegedly of Nessie just surfacing. Well, why didn't you take another picture when she actually comes out of the water? Why is this the picture, the only picture we have? Yeah, someone says turtle. I don't even know if I'd go that far. This looks like just a shadowed area of water. I mean, I'm not seeing anything here. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. But of course, Loch Ness Monster enthusiasts, other cryptids or cryptozoologists like myself, who perhaps are more inclined to believe in things, are hailing this as a great piece of evidence. And I see, again, as Sergeant Schultz might say in Hogan's Heroes, I see nothing. Dr. Mask, why do cameras keep getting better, but pictures of cryptids keep getting worse? Exactly. Green Laser says that is definitely Cthulhu's forehead. Last frame on the reel, of course. That's probably a rock. Is that like Charlie Brown Halloween? I got a rock. It's probably a rock. There you go. Nothing to scale. It's a rock or something. I agree. Oil slick. I mean, turtle. Yeah. I mean, I'm not seeing anything there that makes me think it even possibly would be a Loch Ness monster sighting, unless other than the fact that this was in Loch Ness. We need better. We need better. We need people to do better. Okay, now this is real, but the question is, what the heck is it? This looks like Mars Attacks or something. Now, he has these little fangs there. Didn't we do something on a fish like this, a vampire fish? This looks like a blobfish, or someone saying that it's a frogfish, which I'm not familiar with that. But it's pretty gross, I can tell you that right now. Where's Paul Taylor when we need him? Where's our resident biologist when we need to break down what we're seeing here? So anyway, they're saying it's a bloated or deformed frogfish. We did look at that weird fish that I thought was fake, and it turned out to be real. That had like a suction mouth like that, but had little fangs in it. I can't remember what it was called. This could be one of those too. But I mean, I got to give it credit. That's one creepy looking thing, whatever it is. Is it an alien head this guy just fished out of the water? One of those underwater aliens from the abyss? Well, pity, Ma. He's still alive, I think. He's not dead. So I don't know. It could, I suppose it could be fake, but I think this fits into a category of an actual fish that's out there. I just don't know. Like I said, I don't know what a frogfish looks like. I guess I should have looked it up, right? You guys are making me work today. That's ridiculous. That's not a frogfish. Come on, man. Here we go. That's not the same thing. Even a mutated frogfish. I mean, come on. Stippling, Ms. Stippling says cookie cutter fish is the teethy eel-like fish. Okay, now we're talking. Now we might be onto something there. Let's see. No, that's not it either. That's an ugly mother, though. But the cookie cutter fish is long. That was like blob. It reminds me of a blobfish. It reminds me of, but I don't know. It's something. We know that for sure. But anyway, I want to give you a dose of reality before I gave you this. Well, I'm not even going to intro. This speaks for itself. You guys, just this is one of those things that the guy started filming from his truck out on the road before he turned into his driveway, and the question begs to be asked: why are you even filming at this point, unless this is a complete setup? So we know that going in, but then, well, you'll see what we catch her on camera here, and you tell me. Right there. Now tell me that is not Stippling Vaughn in a Bigfoot outfit. I mean, are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh my gosh. Ah, that is clearly a guy in a suit with huge feet, like trying to keep from tripping while he walks. Oh my gosh, that is classic. Now they are saying that this is not Bigfoot. This is actually that it has a wolf's head, which I can't really, you can't tell by this video. I don't know how they expect, I don't know how they can tell from the video that, the people that are informing me that this is actually a dog man and not a Bigfoot. So let's watch again. It even moves like a, like a beer drinking, 40 something in a costume. Gee, many Christmas. Marcus Killigu says, I've met Stippling Vaughn, and that could be him. It's a hippie that lives. I mean, come on. Come on. Oh, that's so good, though. This is like one of my favorite videos in a while. This is. So, again, the guy in the truck is out on the highway, and he's filming out of his truck for some reason in the middle of the night, turns down the driveway, still filming, goes right to his garage there, turns left, and then suddenly a Bigfoot is walking, or a wolf man is walking right out in front of him. Talk about timing. Oh my gosh. This costume, though, is just like, it's just incredible. I'm sorry, but when I found this last night, I was laughing, and I'm still laughing. Look at those big feet. Look at that. Doop, 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 doop. Oh my gosh. Randy Hall says those Portland hippies are getting shaggier. Aaron was out for his nightly walk. What? My feet aren't that big, nor am I anywhere near that hairy. Creative Faye, I hate to do that to you, but man. There's Ms. Stippling. Is that Stippling? Is Ms. Stippling like any relation to Stippling Vaughn? I assume it is. It's a furry suit. But is that Stippling Vaughn in there? Captain Bitbo says worst Jack Link's commercial ever. Wow. That Jack Link's Bigfoot costume was made by our friends at that place that does that stuff. Why is it when you focus, you're like, I'm trying to think of a name, and then as soon as you try to think of it, you can't think of it? Legacy Special Effects. Thank you very much. And my son worked there as an intern for 6 months doing like engineering type stuff. He's not like an artist, but he's an engineer. So he would like make the mechanisms work and things like that. But they're the ones who created the Bigfoot costume for the Jack, and it's great. It's incredible. It's a great costume. This, however, not a great costume. All right. Now, this is what we call saving the best for last. So we're familiar with, on this show, of course, the cryptid, the rake, right? Which is not to be confused with the skinwalker, although they often are. But they're basically this bald, kind of gangly white creature that supposedly lives in the woods or whatever, right? Ms. Stippling says, yes, he's my boyfriend. So are you verifying that was Stippling Vaughn, or that Stippling Vaughn is your boyfriend? I mean, I just want to know. You pass that on to him and ask him if he's done any Bigfoot videos. Because inquiring minds want to know. All right. So, I'm just kidding, of course. I hope you know I'm just kidding. All right. Now, oh, look, there's a dog. Okay. Are you ready for this? Again, Let me just show it, and then you guys tell me what you think. All right. So I think this could be a rake. Sure it could. Carbon dioxide says that's real. Pressure. Yes. Okay. Now the problem here is this looks like a guy in a bald cap right there, like a rubbery bald cap right here. But let's look down here, and I don't mean down here. I mean down here. What the heck? Yeah, he's got tennis shoes on, folks. He's got tennis shoes on. I guess they forgot about that part. All right, Joe, come up over the rock, and act like, you're a cryptid or something. And watch closely. Watch right here. Tennis shoe. Right there it is. He couldn't do it barefoot? He could. You're trying. Now, the guy that's describing this video, and I shouldn't make fun of him because he has a really big channel and maximum fear, but he was trying to sell me, not me personally, but whoever's watching the video, that this couldn't be human. Look how it's moving. And I'm like, it's clearly human. There's nothing not human about this. And the fact that the guy's got a pair of Adidas on probably ruins the whole effect. He could not go barefoot just for this one scene. Yeah, like that is not, that's not a dude. That's not what I'm supposed to think. That it's a dude. It's a dude with a rubber bald cap on and his Adidas. Women you can buy like tennis shoes that are flesh colored, but they don't have them for guys, but they do have them in women. This is clearly a dude. So, but I'm just saying there, how do you, why are you making a cryptid video while you're wearing tennis shoes? 80s Sojourner says the rake wears Converse. I mean, apparently I can't argue that. Jordans are popular out in the woods. I think that's probably true. Henry Thrune, I have got Henry Thrune all the way through his workout, and now it's time to make dinner, which I'll be doing in a few minutes myself. Ms. Stippling says that's a Gollum movement class from the Lord of the Rings movies. Probably right. Probably right. Well, folks, I'd like to say after that, you've probably seen it all, but you've probably seen it all. I want to thank everybody for joining me. I want to remind everybody that there is a link in the description of this video that will take you to my Wraith of God 3 graphic novel campaign. Appreciate your support if you have not done so already. And if you have, thank you very much. And if you're looking for back issues, prints, original art, go check out my website. You'll find a link in the description of this video as well. So there you go, guys. That is the show for this Sunday. Keep your eyes open for the Graybeards poll that will be out tomorrow afternoon sometime. And we'll do Graybeard Studio on Wednesday. We'll have the Professionals on Tuesday. And then, of course, we'll be right back here next week for Aaron Live. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for the... wait a minute. Geek Avenger said, we bought that at Barnes & Noble. I have no idea what he's talking about, but that's a $2 super chat, and I can't forget it. And I got all the rest of them. So thank you guys very much, and we'll see you next time right here on Aaron Live. Good night.